Hello, my darlings. It's me, Coach Lacey Green. I am the coach of Fortify with Lacey.com. Today, I'm going to be talking about another part of my life. Yes, I'm a coach, but I'm also an IFBB Pro. I became a pro in the bikini division, and today's the first time I'm announcing that I am going to compete in IFBB Fit Model in 2026. And since I'm already an IFBB Pro, I am able to switch between if I would like. And the pro shows don't start until 2026 for Fit Model. So it's a new thing and it's really exciting. So I want to talk about why I made that decision. I think that that's the question that I get the most from people in my circle when I tell them that I'm doing this. They want to know why. And now I'm opening it up and telling everyone. So I want to talk about that because I think it can help you maybe as you're navigating your own thoughts about the sport, because I have a lot of opinions about the sport, as we all do, and that's okay. And even if your opinion doesn't match mine, that's okay too. We just can have our own opinions. There's nothing wrong with that. But today I'm going to share mine and share why I'm heading the direction that I'm heading in. So I guess the first thing I'm going to talk about is a history on how I became an IFBB Pro. If you don't already know. And by the way, if you don't already know me and you're new here, hi. I'm Lacey, and it's nice to meet you. And I'm glad you're here, and I hope you stay. I hope that you subscribe to my channel and let me get to know you, and you get to know me, because I have a mission in life that I would love to be able to end. At the end of my life, have people say, "Wow, my life's a little better because I met Lacey Green." And so my mission is to make your life better. But let's back up and talk about how I became a pro. It was fast, you guys. If you don't know, I'm 48 as of today. Today's October 28th, 2025, and I just actually turned 48 at the beginning of this month. When I was younger, I have a book. If you guys want to read my book, Fortify, God's Hand in Healing, Making a Mission, something else I forget the subtitle of it. But anyhow, I talk a lot in the book about my childhood. I had a rough childhood. I never was an athlete. I went into my adult life not as an athlete. Like, none of this was on my radar. Okay. I was not an athlete. I didn't do anything sports related at all. And when I think I was 38 or 39, my husband was deployed to Afghanistan. And when he came back, we had just had our last baby, our fifth child. We have 5 together. 3 are mine that I birthed. 2 of them are bonus kids, but our 5th together. And I had, he was about a year old. He just turned 1 when my husband returned from Afghanistan. We were done having babies. And I was kind of in a weird place in life where I was like, okay, I know I'm not going to have any more children. I'm going to raise these children. They were growing up fast, but I never had done anything for me. And when he returned from Afghanistan, it was very important to him to go to the gym. He wanted to continue working out. He had been working out while he was deployed, and it was a good transition for him back into civilian life. So I would never say no to that. But I was a little sad because I had missed him so much for a year and I wanted to spend time with him. So I was like, can I just go with you and I'll just hang out? Like, it was an opportunity for me to spend time with him. I never looked at it like I'm going to exercise or change my body or anything like that. I just wanted to be with him and come alongside him while he did something he enjoyed. So the first few times that we went, he basically just taught me how to weight train. I didn't know. And in fact, if I had not been with him, I would never have stepped foot into the weight training section of the gym. I always would go to cardio. And I think that every woman can relate to that at some point in their life. But since I was with him, it felt safe. And so I started learning about weightlifting from him. And I initially began just watching him. And then I got kind of bored. So I started doing what he did. I started lifting the weights with him, of course, lighter weight, but I enjoyed it. I was very surprised. It was one of those things where I had never tried it before, so I didn't know. I just didn't know I was missing, I guess. And I started to really, really enjoy it. So I kept going. And eventually we kind of went at our own time. It became our thing, but we kind of did our own thing. And after, close to a year of that, I I started to change. My body started to change, and it was exciting. To keep this part of the story short, I mean, it's for another time. I can dive deeper into the story, but I needed to learn nutrition. Nutrition hadn't changed for me, and so I knew I was kind of missing that piece. And so I started working on nutrition. I hired a coach, and I knew this coach because she worked in the ER at the hospital I worked at. I was a registered respiratory therapist for 15 years. And I liked her, and she had been a competitor, and I thought, well, she can surely help me with a diet. And that's all I wanted. And the more I worked with her and the more I learned how to eat, the more my body changed in ways I had never seen it before, which was pretty astounding, being a mother and having all these babies and neglecting my body for all those years. And it was changing. It was really exciting. It was very powerful because it was like, wow, I can do these very small things and my body will change in a way that is completely unrecognizable to me. And people started noticing at the gym. And my coach started to say things like, you should maybe compete. And I'm thinking, no way am I doing that. I am a very faithful follower of Christ. I believe in modesty. I'm a mom. Like I never in my life felt comfortable wearing a bikini. So I'm certainly not going to get on stage with one. I didn't like the posing. It looked a little too much for me. Like I am very introverted and shy, and I would rather rise other people up. I'd be behind the scenes raising people up than me being on a stage. So all of that was uncomfortable for me. And I'm like, no, I don't really need to do that. I just want to get in shape. Well, then a little over a year into it, it kept coming to my mind to compete. I kept thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't know. I was back and forth, but it stayed with me. And a lady in the gym, in her 70s, she was in her 70s, came up to me one day and she said, are you training for something? You come in here and you work so hard. And I was like, well, I'm thinking about doing a bikini competition. And when I said that to her, I was like, why am I even saying this? I'm not really thinking about it. Like saying I was thinking about it almost meant like I was leaning in the direction of it. And I was not. And she was like, well, let me give you some advice. She's like, I don't understand why you're just thinking about it. She's like, try it. If you like it, keep doing it. And if you don't like it, you don't ever have to do it again. But at least at least you don't have to live with the pain of regret by not experiencing it. And I really listened to her. And that's one thing I learned in life is that when an older person gives you wisdom, you listen because they have life experience to back that. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to consider this. And I talked to my husband. He was very supportive of it. And I said, let's just try it and see what happens. And so I did. I told my coach, and she, of course, was delighted. Started prep in July and went and competed in November at the NPC Natural Indianapolis. And I was 40. I had just turned 40, and I won the overall at that show, at my first show. And again, deeper story there for another time. But I won the overall, couldn't believe it. And the next step was to go to nationals. Teen Collegiate Masters Nationals was in 8 months. And so that was the next logical step, according to my coach. And so I went to Masters Nationals with no feelings at all that I should be a pro. Like I didn't even know you could win a pro card. Like that all had to be explained to me. And I was like, that would be neat, but that doesn't happen to people like me. That's not going to be for me. But I always gave everything my best. Like that's something I've always been big on is if you do something, you do it with excellence, or you don't do it at all. Why do anything halfway? So I trained hard for that 8 months, worked really hard, and I won my pro card at my first show. And 2 shows won my pro card in bikini. Looking back, I have a lot of feelings about that again, another video that I'll make sometime about, what I feel about that. Because, it sounds fun to get your pro card really quickly, but I was robbed of a lot of fun too, I think. I think I really would have enjoyed experiencing the NPC longer. But anyway, that's how I became a bikini pro, and that was in 2018. So when I became a bikini pro, it was back when bikini looked like Fit Model does now. Okay, bikini wasn't as big then, muscularity-wise and leanness as it is now. And looking back at my pictures from back then, it really looks like beginner Fit Model. Honestly, when I won that first show, to me, to my trained eye as a coach, it's like, wow, that's really Fit Model. But back then, that's what bikini looked like. And so, over the years since winning my pro card in 2018, I have continued to build my physique naturally. I will say, I will disclose this. I am postmenopausal. And so when that began to happen to me, I did get on hormone replacement therapy. So because of the hormone replacement therapy, I am unable to compete truly natural because of that. But I haven't taken anything else. It's the hormone replacement therapy, if you've ever been through menopause, you understand what I'm saying when I say it has tremendously improved my quality of life, not my bodybuilding life, my life in general has been so improved by the replacement therapy. So to me, that it's worth it to take that. But that does, make it so I can't compete in natural pro shows. And I'm okay with that. But that did bring about some other thoughts. And I started to recognize, if we're going to talk about why I'm making the switch, I started to recognize that I'm at the point now where, it's been all these years I've been training. I've never stopped training. I've always followed my diet perfect. I've lived the lifestyle of a pro, and I don't compete often because I'm natural. I need time to grow in between shows. And then I had a surgery come up for my shoulder. Different things happened. But every time I compete, it's so far in between that, I just feel like I was getting disconnected maybe from the stage. It just didn't feel like part of my life anymore. And I never really wanted to get on the stage. That was never the mission. I am a quality of life person. I want to look and feel good every day. Now, when I say look and feel good, that's very subjective. I don't want to look stage lean every day, but I do keep a certain level of leanness year round just to look generally aesthetic and feel good in my skin. I don't bulk. I don't like to gain a lot of body fat. But then as of late, so I've been a Christian since the year 2000. Okay. I gave my life to Christ in 2000. And I've always had this little underlying feeling in my heart about how do I feel about competing in my walk with God and modesty. And I, always thought about it as like, well, I feel like I view it differently than maybe someone who's not in the sport would view it. Okay. For example, my grandmother, very devout Christian woman, could not wrap her mind around, in her words, me prancing around in a bikini on stage. Obviously, she was not in favor of it, but she saw it differently. I see it as a sport, and I don't see it as something sexual or immodest. So I've, kept competing all these years and pursuing this because I view it differently. But there's been a stirring in my spirit that has really had me in a bit of turmoil, to be honest, over the past, I would say, 8 months. Just exploring, how do I really feel about this? And where am I at in this stage of life at 48 years old? I'm going to hopefully someday be a grandmother. I want to live a good, long quality of life. Competing is fun and it's a hobby. Even though I'm a pro, it's a hobby. And to what length am I going to go to and to what end, in this sport? And it came, we got to a point where it's like, if I want to do well in bikini, I'm going to have to take gear at this point. And so I had to search my heart about that and really think about, I like to say I play the long game in everything I do. And that's good wisdom, you guys. Play the long game, okay? Don't just look at the moment and how you feel in the moment, what you're trying to gain in the moment. Play the long game. How does this look 10 years from now? How does this look 20 years from now? And make decisions based on the long game, not the moment and the feelings you're having. Because there's been plenty of times where the competitiveness in me says, okay, I'll take whatever, I'll do whatever, I just want to win. And then we have to look at, what does winning get you? Okay. So if you're chasing your pro card, winning can get you a pro card. But then what? So I have a pro card, and if I win, sometimes you can win a little bit of money. It isn't much. It's not enough to cover what it costs to even do the show. Winning also, what does that give you? A sense of accomplishment, maybe. My sense of accomplishment comes from just knowing that I can. I prep like a boss. Like, I do everything with excellence, and that's accomplishment to me. That's winning to me. And then remembering that the stage is very subjective, and I get to walk around every single day looking better. And I'm not saying this pridefully, but it's a fact. I get to walk around every day looking better than pretty much every person that's within my space that I'm in. If I'm at the grocery store, if I'm at the gym even, I have an elite physique. I know that. And to me, that's winning. Now I'll get on stage against other elite physiques, and then I'm not so much a winner because it's very subjective. Some girl might say she prefers my physique, whereas another girl might say she prefers a different physique. Subjectiveness, right? So who's the real winner, right? So winning has to come from a much different place than I won the show or I won the trophy. It really is a deeper thing. And so I've been really exploring how I feel about that. And I'm like, well, why do I compete then? Why would I get back on stage again? I had to really decide if I wanted to do that. And I'm like, if I stay in bikini and I'm still not enhanced, I don't take anything, I already know the chances. Now, God can make anything happen. I mean, I won my pro card in 2 shows. I fully believe that God's will is going to be done. But if we look at the chances of me winning a pro show naturally at this point in my life, they're very small. And I really don't want to go through all of that unless I'm going to actually do really well in the show, because I already have gained satisfaction from knowing I can. Okay. So it's like that next step of success for me. And I do compete to stay relevant in the sport because I'm a coach. I want to have my finger on the pulse of what's happening in the sport. That's really the biggest reason, honestly, is that, I'm a coach and I want to make sure I understand what's going on so I can be the best coach possible for my girls. So moving forward, I started to really think about, that inner turmoil of I went all these years natural. What do I do now? What's the next best step for me? Is it safe at this point to take something? Do I really want to do that? I just didn't want to. That didn't feel right to me. So when I was considering what it meant to be natural, I had to consider a lot of things. I won't pull out a bunch of scripture right now. There's another time and place for that. But I searched the scriptures about, what is it to be a female and what is it to be feminine? And please hear me. I don't want anyone to be offended or feel like I'm judging, or these are my opinions. And this was for my own personal journey. And whatever you decide to do is your thing. Okay. I love you. And maybe my perspective will help you gain perspective. Maybe my perspective will still make you feel okay if you're someone who is enhanced. Just be solid in what you decide. That's all I'm saying. But my decision that I stay solid in is just mine. Okay. So please don't feel condemnation from me, because that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just saying, for me, I started to recognize that being natural was very spiritually important to me and physically important to me, but also ethically for me. And I also am, man, I'm an underdog always. I want to be the underdog. I root for the underdog. If someone says something can't be done, I'm like, well, let me show you that it can. And thankfully, I think that way, because otherwise I couldn't have come to you today and saying, I became a pro naturally. There's hope for you if that's what you want to do. Because, everyone told me I needed to take stuff and that I would not become a pro if I didn't. And here I am, sitting here in IFBB Pro, and I didn't take anything. So sometimes we have to just do things to prove it can be done, right? And I'm willing to be the person to do that. All right. So with the challenges of staying natural in an untested federation, because I have to go untested because I'm on hormone replacement therapy, I started to recognize that, well, maybe it's time to retire and just still live my best fit life. That makes me happiest anyway. Okay. But there's that part of me that still likes to compete and still I love prep. I love prep. And the thought of ending that really bothered me. I didn't want to end that. So I had to really sit in my feelings, and Fit Model came out, and I was like, well, maybe Fit Model will be better for me. And I was very drawn to Fit Model. I think that the nail in the coffin for the whole decision, the thing that solidified it, was when I went to a show in July local to me. And it was an NPC show. It was untested, but I was just watching. This is the first time I saw Fit Model in person. And I was like, wow, these girls are gorgeous. Like these fit model girls, they look healthy. They looked so different. And I am saying bikini sometimes doesn't look healthy. When you get that lean, your face sinks in. Like there was a big difference in my vision, my eyes, my perspective, my just me, guys. Please, nobody take offense to this at all. I'm not saying bikini girls are ugly because I am a bikini girl, right? But I just saw a difference for myself of wow, these fit model girls got on stage. They looked phenomenal. They looked very healthy. Their skin looked good. I mean, just amazing. And I just really liked the look. The posing I thought was very flattering. I just liked it. They looked strong. The fit model pose to me looks like a stance of power, like a very strong woman. I don't feel that way when I look at bikini posing. Bikini posing leans more to me towards being sexy, and that ain't me. I can't, I hate bikini posing because I am not a sexy girl and I don't want to be. I don't want to be that. But fit model just kind of looked like the strong girl, a very beautiful, strong woman. And I was like, wow, it took me by surprise. I felt this way. Okay. Um, then I had to start considering, like, I started thinking, well, what if I did that? What if I switched to fit model just to see what would happen? And one of the fit model girls that came out on stage for the amateur division, obviously because the pros aren't out yet, she had on this red matte bikini. And I had always felt like initially when Fit Model came out, I was like, oh, I'm not going to like that because I love the crystals on the bikinis. I think they're very pretty. But when I saw this girl come out in this matte bikini, I was like, that is gorgeous to me. It was just so clean looking and crisp and very flattering. And I just was like in awe at how I was feeling about looking at Fit Model as a category. I'm like, I love it. It's gorgeous. So then there were a few pros at this show. And again, I'm having a hard time saying this, but I really want you guys to understand where my mind was with this because some of you might feel the same thing sometimes. And I want you to know it's okay to think this. There were a couple girls there who were pros and they had been competing. So they were lean, much more muscular than I am as pros, not enhanced. I mean, they are enhanced and I'm not. And I don't think they try to hide the fact that they're enhanced. They open their mouth and because they have the vocal changes. But I'm looking at them backstage and I'm going, man, I don't want to look like that in real life, like everyday life. Like it just was very not feminine in person. Now, when you look at pictures, it's like, dang, she looks so good. But then when you see these people in person, it's like, oh boy, the femininity, in my opinion, was just gone. There was nothing feminine about the look. And I'm like, I really love being a female. I love looking feminine. I love the softness of femininity. I want my grandkids to feel that when I have them. I want them to feel the softness of grandma's femininity. That's important to me. And so, man, my wheels were turning like crazy. And I'm like, if I take gear to look like them, to compete on a stage, am I going to be happy in normal life with carrying around muscle mass like that? And I'm like, no way. No way am I going to feel happy about that. That's not for me. And it just really opened my eyes to being open-minded to thinking about Fit Model and being grateful that I can just switch over to Fit Model. Being a pro, you can do that. So I was happy about that. And the decision was pretty much made. So then I took it to my husband and I asked him what he thought about it. And boy, we talked it through and he was very supportive like he always is. And the decision was made that why not just give it a try? So let me tell you how that went down later, stuff I didn't even think about, okay? I've been weight training consistently, eating consistently healthy. Like I live the life since 2016 is when I started the journey. And I love this journey. I love this life. But one of the things I didn't even realize was really weighing on me was the constant chasing of muscle, the constant growth. And when you've been training that long and you're as old as I am, the muscle growth does not happen fast. So I felt always this tension of having to do everything optimized, because if I wanted to optimize my natural growth, I better make sure all my ducks are in a row all the time. Sleep, what I eat, my nutritional supplements that I take, like creatine, getting to the gym, training to failure, always being aware of how hard I'm training, how hard am I recovering. It was an obsession, and it became an idol in my life. And I serve God. I do not serve bodybuilding. And so I had to create a division there where I'm like, this needs separated. I either need to quit or pivot. And I had to look at the core of what was the issue there for me, the constant pursuit of muscle gains, because I knew I needed to be bigger. Bikini's getting bigger. I got to get bigger. And I grew weary of that. And I was chasing something I didn't even want. What I wanted was to do well on stage, but not at the cost of growing all that muscle. I didn't want all that muscle. And I didn't want to have to do the things it took to get all that muscle. And when I switched to Fit Model, and I told my coach about it, and my coach was like, well, you're there. You're there. And what a wash of relief I had. Like, that makes me so emotional, because I had a wash of relief, because I was like, wait a minute. I don't have to chase all this muscle gain. It felt free. It felt like someone took chains off my body. Now I was dreading training. I got to a point where I hated training. It's something I used to love. As soon as that was said and I felt that freedom, I loved going to the gym again. I didn't feel like I had to chase muscle anymore. I just wanted to grow it for me. And of course, he said we can continue to grow your lower body, which is always a win. I always want to grow my glutes, but I didn't want to get big capped shoulders, and I didn't want to get big lats. I wanted to just look very feminine. And I was like, okay, this is going to be what I want. This is exactly what I had not even pulled that puzzle piece into the puzzle, because I didn't really know about it until he said that. And I was like, the relief I felt was so emotional. So everything started to align with how I want to look all the time. It was like, there's so many benefits to switching. Just me wanting my own personal aesthetic to be more feminine yet athletic and sustainable long term, and enjoying my body year round and not packing on muscle that I really don't want, and having the joy of dressing and living in a body that feels aligned to me. I felt out of alignment, and all of this pulled me into alignment, and it really gave me the confidence that I'm walking into a new season of life that fits my purpose exactly what I look for in my life. So upcoming show plans. Let's talk about that. We got to try it out and see what happens. We don't know what pro fit model is going to look like. We just don't know. And I got to find out. So I have my eye on a show at the beginning of 2026 that I want to do. And I'm not going to say yet which one. I want to kind of wait it out a little bit and see how the plans fall with my coach. I don't want to speak out of turn with what my coach has planned, but we don't know until we try. And so I'm going to try. I'm going to get ready for a fit model show at the pro level, and I'm going to see what happens, see what the judges say. Obviously, being 48 years old, I'm going to compete in the masters category, but I'm also going to do open unless my coach says otherwise. But I'm just really excited to see what happens. And I will tell you, I've always hated posing. I love fit model posing. I love it. And it is a good feeling to think about posing practice with joy and excitement. It used to be something I dreaded horrendously. And I was not good at posing in bikini because I hated it. But I love fit model posing. And so I feel aligned there too. And that's exciting. And I've been coaching women in fit model, and they're doing very well. One of my fit model girls just won the overall at her show. And she's a masters competitor. She won the overall, and it was her first show. So my eye is very trained for fit model. And it's my comfort level. Of course, my eye's trained for bikini too, but boy, I have an affection that's deep for fit model. So I'm excited to spread the message that you can compete while glorifying God and staying true to your convictions. And I am searching that all the time. What are my convictions about the sport? And that's going to be a whole nother mini series I'm going to do on this YouTube channel, is the deep dive that I have done in the Bible with scripture that has helped me decide how I feel about being a bikini athlete or a fit model athlete, and being a Christian. And I'll tell you that is a fluid thing. Okay. It's not set in stone yet. I'm searching and I'm learning and I'm open-minded, and I'm excited to share that part of my journey with you too. And that will come in another video. So there you have it. This is why I'm switching to Fit Model. And I don't know what goes beyond that. Okay. We're just going to work towards this first pro show in Fit Model and then see how things go from there. I don't know. I'm open-minded, but I do know that no matter what happens, I feel aligned again and it feels really good. I just needed to go through some really hard thinking and hard feelings and really search myself and be open minded to new things to be able to get where I'm at today. And, staying natural and doing Fit Model just is exactly what fits me really well. Maybe the judges won't think so, but for my life it does. And I'm really happy with that. So thank you guys for listening and spending this time with me today. If no one has told you, I love you and I'm here to help you. So don't hesitate to send me a message. Like, I do this for you, not for me. I said earlier, I'm a behind the scenes kind of girl, and I mean that. If I can spend a day building you up instead of me, that's my jam. Okay. I'll be happy to stand hidden in a corner and watch you shine. So if you have questions or comments or anything, I would love to hear from you. And just keep going. If you're following your passion, keep going, but do it in a way that aligns with who you are and be okay with that. You don't have to do all the things that everyone else is doing. Okay. I hate the saying, you do you. I don't like that saying at all, but I do want to tell you, figure out who you are and then stay true to that. Okay. But also be open minded for opportunities that come your way that maybe you didn't anticipate.